Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by sophomore from the Franklin Pierce women's hockey team, Jenna Ruiz. Jenna, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. How's everything going with yourself?
I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, what are you up to since the season ended a few weeks ago for your team? Anything interesting, or is it just kind of school and hockey?
Mostly school and hockey. The girls and I are back in the weight room, back to our off season, usual things that we do. But yeah, I think we're just really looking forward to next season as of now and looking forward to the off season where we get a little bit of a break and yeah, just preparing for next season.
Yeah, what are your off-season plans? Is it anything interesting, or is it just anything interesting, whether it's hockey related or not hockey related?
I don't really know what I'm going to be up to yet for this summer. I'm really excited to just go back home to Wisconsin, see my family. I'm thinking about maybe taking a couple of summer classes. I'm not really sure yet. I don't really have anything planned. I'm going to see Morgan Wallen on my birthday in August, but other than that, no idea.
That's exciting. That's exciting. What's like your favorite song that you hope he plays on your birthday?
I love his whole album, but I love Dangerous. It's like my favorite song.
Hopefully he plays that. I don't know too much about Morgan Wallen. I am a fan of myself if I don't say, but I'm not like a huge fan. So hopefully he plays that song. I feel like that's one of his more popular ones. So I feel like he will play
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I would think so. I would think he would play it. I hope so anyway.
That'll be awesome. That'll be a good birthday present. And then someone
Mhm.
like who knows him gives you a shout out in the concert. That would be pretty sick if
That
that
would
happened.
be really cool.
I don't know if you know anyone that knows him, but you should kind of try to figure out how to make that happen.
I should. I really should before I go.
But let's kind of get started about I guess like for your off season hockey wise, like what do you think is something that you want to work on for next year? You had a really good season for the games that you did play, but is there anything you want to work on regarding your game for next year to be even better?
I think I remember being really frustrated, like not being able to score because at this like next level, the goalies are just so good. And I remember thinking like, why can't I score? And I even asked my coach, like, what do I need to do? Like I'm getting opportunities and I can't score. And he was just like, the goalies are just they're that good at this level. And it's true. The goalies in our conference are outstanding and they really do they're really good at what they do. So yeah, maybe just capitalizing on opportunities, maybe working on, being a little bit more um I don't even know. I don't even know. Maybe just like shooting in different spots or something like that. But other than that, maybe just getting used to the physicality of it again. Everyone's faster, stronger, and this at this level. So that too.
Now let's transition and talk about the beginning of your hockey career and kind of work all the way up to where you are today with Franklin Pierce. So you were born in Webster, Wisconsin. Talk about growing up there and how did you start playing hockey?
Yeah. So I grew up in Webster. It's in northern Wisconsin. I loved living there. It's a really, really small town. It wasn't really a big hockey town. Um, and I don't even know how I ended up playing hockey really. But my older brother started playing and I just wanted to do exactly everything that he did. I thought he was like the coolest person ever. So I started playing, I think he was probably like around 5 and I was like 4. I don't even know. But I just ended up loving it. I've loved it ever since.
And did you have a favorite player growing up, whether it was in the NHL or was there a women's player on the national team?
I definitely grew up like idolizing Molly Engstrom. Molly Engstrom coaches, she's at St. Cloud State right now, but she grew up in the same like hockey community as I did. And she went on to play for like the Badgers and she went to the Olympics and won a couple of medals. And I just remember being like, okay, if she can come from this small area and go to play at the Olympics, like maybe this is something that like I can pursue since I love it so much. So I definitely looked up to her a lot. Was also a Wild fan, so like Zach Parise too.
And before college hockey, you played your high school hockey at Eagan, Minnesota. So first of all, how did you get the opportunity to go out to Minnesota and play your high school hockey there?
So yeah, so I grew up in Webster and like there wasn't a lot of options for me to play girls hockey at the high school level. I would have had to drive really far or something like that. So my grandparents lived in Eagan and my parents asked me like, hey, do you want to go play? Like this is an option that you have. And right away I was like, yes, let's do it. Like that sounds awesome. So yeah, that's how I ended up at Eagan. and I loved it. It was like the best 4 years ever.
Is it weird playing in a like town that you're technically not from, and how did you like adjust to, I guess, the whole Egan like kind of setting? Like, was I guess is there is did it does it people like always ask about Wisconsin and Minnesota, or like just talk about that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it was definitely weird when like the whole team, like my whole Egan team had played together since like youth hockey, and I just kind of came in and was like, hey, like I'm joining your team, but they were all so like welcoming, the parents, the players, the coaches, like they made me feel like I had been there my whole life, and I'm so thankful for them for like doing that because I was really nervous going in. I didn't know like anyone. But yeah, I can't be more thankful to Egan. I met so many people, made so many friends, and they gave me a lot.
And who are some of the players you got to play with when you were at Egan? Any ones that are currently playing D1 college hockey, or any ones that like stick out to you?
Yeah, Taylor Anderson, I got to play with for 2 years, and she's just a phenomenal player. She's at UMD. She was just at the Frozen Four, which is really cool to see her play up at that level. And Kayla Vrees was one of my captains. She's at Gustavus now, and she was in the national tournament too for the Division 3 level. So that was really cool to see her do that as well.
Now, talk about your experience at Egan. What'd you take away from that experience, and like, what's the best memory you have with that program?
I would definitely say that Egan prepared me a lot. Like they gave me a lot of hockey knowledge as far as like systems and that kind of thing. My favorite memory would have to be playing at the state hockey tournament my sophomore year. It was in 2018. It was just such a cool experience. I grew up like watching the state tournament and being like, oh my gosh, I wish I could be part of something like that. And then it was so cool to finally like get to experience it.
Yeah, well, how do you handle the nerves of playing at the Excel Energy Center? I feel like since you idolize playing there for your whole life, it must be a bit of a nerve-wracking experience for you. But how do you like handle that? And talk about the emotions you kind of felt once you stepped on the ice for the first time with all like the fans cheering for you.
Yeah, like it was, I remember being like so nervous because Egan was so close to St. Paul that like they even like bussed all of our students in and like we had a huge crowd. And I remember being really nervous, but I think I just looked up to it. We had a lot of really good leaders on that team, a lot of upperclassmen like Taylor, Kayla, and they handled it really well. And I just remember like leaning on them at the time. And once you're out there, once you step out there, like you kind of don't remember, that there's fans. You just kind of focus on winning.
Now, talk a little bit more about the Minnesota high school hockey scene and what's it like being a player in that scene? Because being from the East Coast, I feel like it's kind of hard to understand just how big high school hockey is in Minnesota. Because out here in the East Coast, it's very rare to fill up a NHL-sized rink for high school hockey. So, what's it like being a player in that scene, and just how big is high school hockey in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think I was an outsider too, like you, and I don't I think that like playing in Minnesota, like the people who like get to experience it, sometimes they take like it for granted that like you get to play for your high school and you don't have to travel hours away to go play for, a different program. Like you get to have like the best talent in the country in your conference, whether, or even if you play non-conference games, like it's not like you can't find that anywhere else. And so I feel really lucky, that I got the opportunity when I did to experience it for sure.
Now, did you do anything interesting when they announced your name for the starting lineups? I know each player has like something to say or does something interesting. I was curious what you did.
I think I just gave a shout out to my brother. I think I just said hi to him because I don't think he was able to come to the first game or something like that. So I just said hi to him.
That's a good one though. I think that's actually one of the better ones. I feel like you got to shout out family because they're always there for you. So
Yes, for sure.
now, now, what did you take away from your high school hockey experience with Egan? And I guess like how did it help you transition to college hockey with Franklin Pierce?
I would definitely say I would not have been prepared for college hockey had I not gone to Egan. Egan, like I said, like they gave me a lot of knowledge about the systems. And when you get to college, you can't just come in and start playing your own system. You all really do have to work as a team. And so I think having that knowledge prior to going to Franklin Pierce really helped me, especially as a center. I feel like the center has a lot of responsibility and it really helped me at the next level for sure. And then just playing at a faster pace, like Minnesota high school hockey it's pretty fast for being at high school level. So I think that also helped a lot as well.
Now, talk about your recruitment process too, Franklin Pierce. How did that go for yourself, and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at?
Yeah, so Coach Stockdale reached out to me. It was pretty late into my junior year of high school, and I was kind of thinking, I don't know where I was going to go. I didn't really have a lot of options. And he just said, come check us out. We're a small school in New Hampshire, and we're a new Division I team in the NEWHA conference. And I was like, sure, why not? Might as well. I don't really have anything to lose. And I think I went out a couple of months later and I toured, and I ended up like absolutely loving the campus. It's beautiful. I think we're like 10 miles away from Mount Monadnock, which is like the most climbed mountain in North America or something like that. The campus is beautiful. And then like on top of that, I just felt like I knew I was going to be like taken care of, and I felt that like he really wanted me. And even like the people I talked to on campus were just so nice, and I felt really welcomed, and I had a really good feeling about it. So I committed like the next day, like literally the day after I toured.
That's awesome. And have you ever had the chance to climb that mountain before, or are you just are you thinking about it right now?
Um, I would really like to someday, but some of like the upperclassmen keep like they always psych me out right before I'm about to. They're like, "Oh, it's so hard. It takes like so many hours." But I would love to one day. Just I think it will be like a once in a lifetime thing for me.
I feel like you have to. If you're 10 minutes away, you kind of have to
Yeah,
take advantage of that. So at least I
exactly. I
would.
have
So
to. I have to at some point for sure.
now, what was like the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Was it the systems you had to learn? Was it the speed of the game? Was it like the decision making you had to make, or the physicality? Like, what really stood out to you the most when you played your first college hockey games? And what was like the biggest adjustment you had to make to that?
Yeah, I think everything you listed, it's a really, really good combination of all of those things. I would say the speed for sure. Like I kind of heard that it was going to be a faster game, but like you really don't know what to expect until you come in and you play it and you experience it, because like your decisions have to be so much faster. Everything has to be faster because everyone's just faster. And I think I really had to adjust to that my first couple of games, and I'm still adjusting to it now for sure.
Now, during your freshman season, like many other teams, your team had to deal with a lot of challenges because of the pandemic. So, how did you and your teammates kind of handle those challenges of playing hockey during a pandemic, especially for your team since you only played like 3 or 4 games, I'm pretty sure?
Mhm. Yes, looking back now, like it's kind of funny, but at the time it was so frustrating because I don't know if a lot of people know this outside of our conference, but we don't have our own rink. So we have to play at the Winchendon School, which is a prep school in Mass. It's about 10-15 minutes away. But because of COVID, like they couldn't allow us onto their campus. And so we had to like look elsewhere and try to find ice time. And it was just like this, we were just running around. So we went to like Keene, New Hampshire, Marlborough, Mass, and like Gardner, Mass. And sometimes we even have to get dressed in our equipment and then drive there. Um, yeah, we definitely have a lot of funny stories about it now. And like looking back, it was like really frustrating because it was hard to watch other teams play like close to a full schedule and then us only getting a couple of games. But our coaches handled it really well. What Coach Stockdale would do is he would let us play like inter squad scrimmages, and so he would let us show up to the rink, and he would split us up into two teams somehow, and we would show up to the rink, and he would act like it was a game day, and we would get to scrimmage each other and like wear our game uniforms, and it was it was really funny to play your own team, but I think it was nice to have a little bit of competition since we're also competitive.
Yeah, and what did you take away from those games that you did play as a freshman?
Yeah, the we only played two exhibition games against Becker College, which was a D3 team. Um, and they weren't like the best games ever, but it was nice we got to travel and play them, and then they came to play us. It was just nice to play another team besides ourselves. I think it was nice to have some competition. My team is like insanely competitive. So yeah, it was nice, but I think we would have liked to play someone like in our conference.
Yeah, 4 goals for you in those 2 games. Well, that must have been cool for yourself to get.
Yeah.
I guess does that count technically as like your first collegiate goal?
Yeah, it did count as like my first collegiate goal. I mean, people always say like, "Oh, like you had like your first collegiate goal in a D3 game," but I mean, hey, I'll take it. It was still my first collegiate goal.
Nice. Do you get to keep the puck at all?
Yeah, I did get to keep the puck. I still have it.
That's awesome. Do you keep it in your dorm room or is it back in your house in Wisconsin?
I brought it home with me. It's back in my bedroom. I think it's on my like bedside table right now.
I feel like you have to bring it back to your house just because like it won't it's I feel like it will get lost in the dorm if you put it there somewhere. So
Yeah,
that's
that's what I was
my
afraid of
mindset.
for
But a
sure.
lot of players like keep in their dorms. So maybe I'm in the minority for that.
Yeah, I was afraid since we do so much moving and like moving in and out of the dorm, I was gonna lose it somehow. So I just figured I'd bring it home.
Nice. Well, now let's talk a little bit about this past year. So first of all, how cool was it for yourself to finally have kind of a regular season play in front of fans? And yeah, what was that all experience like for you?
Yeah, it was awesome to finally get back to our home rink permanently and like have fans in the stands for sure after having it can be like having it been like completely silent for so long. Yeah, and then being able to play at home was like really fun. We were really successful at home, so that was really great for us too.
Yeah, and what was it like also playing some non-conference games as well against some big Division One teams? I know you started off your season playing an exhibition game against Northeastern. So, what'd you take away from those games against some of those bigger D1 college hockey teams that you got to play against? That must have been fun for yourself because I feel like it really measures up like your team against other teams, and you had some success in those games as well because you beat Holy Cross, who's a hockey school,
Mhm.
in one of those games on the road. So I feel like it's just proving how NEWHA can compete with those other D1 college hockey conferences, which is good to see.
Yeah, I mean, like playing some of those teams was definitely a dream come true. We went and played Northeastern in our first game, first exhibition game, and I remember like pulling up to Boston, like downtown, and being like, "Oh my gosh, is this really happening?" Just because it's something I'd been dreaming of for so long. But yeah, like you said, like our conference, I have to give credit to like St. A's and LIU. They also had some big Division 1 wins this year too, and it just proved that yeah, like the NEWHA really can compete with any conference, any Division 1 conference, and I think we proved that this year.
Yeah, talk about what it's like playing in NEWHA and just the competition you play every night.
Yeah, like I said, like I think we did a lot of work this year, and we did a lot of like proving that we're a really strong conference, and you know. Um, yeah, I think you can't really go into any game in our conference thinking you're going to come out with a win. You never know what could happen. We're all very close, and I think that was showed in playoffs too. Each game, no game was really a blowout, and um, we all played really close games.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about the regular season. Your team was very successful. I guess what was the key to maintaining that consistency of winning games in the regular season? Did you feel like your team faced any pressure with that happening? Because obviously, with not having a season last year, I feel like it's hard to kind of maintain that consistency just because there's a lot of like bumps in the road that you have to kind of deal with like a brand new team and like kind of a brand new season in some ways for your team and for a lot of your teammates. So how it was like how did you kind of maintain that consistency throughout that regular season, and just talk about like the pressure that you might have faced internally and externally and how you handled that as well.
Yeah, it took us a while to get going, but I think right when we came back from Christmas break, we kind of all just started like clicking, and we started putting pucks in the net, and I think it's because we were just all able to really trust each other. Like I think our goaltending was outstanding. Our D were we could count on them to jump up in the play and have our backs, and we could count on the forwards to come back and help the D. Like it was just we were really in sync with each other, and I think it really helped us just overall be successful. I think there was really no weakness to our game at that point, and we were playing our systems really well, exactly how we wanted to. But yeah, I think we did feel a little bit of pressure when we went on that. I think we had like an 11 game winning streak towards the end. And I think we just had this pressure to like keep that streak going. But then we kind of had to think like, okay, we're not immortal. Like it's going to happen at some point. And then we ended up losing one to Sacred Heart. And I think it kind of made us realize like, you know what, like this is something that we can continue to work on and continue to like keep doing. Even though we did lose a game, we can still, end the season with a lot of wins.
Yeah, and what was like I guess like is that what like when you guys got back from Christmas break, is that when you kind of started to realize that your team was capable of winning a new hot championship?
Yeah, for sure. We came off of a win at Union, and like I said, I don't know, we just all started like really working together really well and supporting each other and on and off the ice, and it was just really fun to see that develop from the beginning of the year until the end.
Now, unfortunately for yourself, you suffered a season-ending knee injury in the middle of the season that didn't allow you to finish the year. So, my first question is, how did that injury occur, and what was like your mindset throughout the rest of the regular season, knowing that you weren't going to play any of those games, especially since, it must be tough to watch your team play a championship game and you not having to play in that game. That must, I don't know how you handle that mentally, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's definitely been like some of like the hard like the last 2 months I've been out. So it's been like the hardest couple months of my life, honestly. Just not being able to play the game that I love. But I feel like I've done a pretty good job of handling it. So it happened in warm-ups and I was just taking a shot and my knee kind of gave out on me. And I kind of knew instantly. I kind of really had to come to a realization that, I'm probably going to be done. It didn't, I just knew something like that wasn't supposed to happen. So, yeah, like I kind of knew right away that I probably wasn't going to get back. And then my trainer kind of told me, hey, like, you know what, you're probably not going to get back. And I really didn't have any emotion. I was like, yeah, I know. um, but yeah, it was hard. The hardest part was probably watching the championship game because all I wanted to do was just go out and like help my team win. But I think I knew I had to fill a different role and just help them and be supportive of them and cheer them on and make sure I could do everything I could do from where I was and help them be successful, and which they were. It was so fun to watch. I was so proud of them, and I remember crying at the end of the game because I was so proud of them, but I was also so sad that I felt like I kind of didn't contribute, but I know I did because I helped them, throughout the whole season too.
Yeah, talk about the playoffs from your perspective, just your team's performance, especially defensively, not really giving up that many goals. And yeah, just what was your emotions you felt after your team won that championship? Because obviously, like you said, you felt like you didn't contribute, but at least in my perspective, I feel like you did, because if you're a part of a team throughout the whole season, no matter when you're playing or not, you have some kind of contribution to a championship win. Because maybe if you won one of those if you didn't win one of those regular season games, you might have not been in like your playoff position to kind of have the success that you did have. So that's kind of like my opinion on it. But
Mhm.
yeah, just talk about like the emotions you felt after your team won that championship, and from your perspective, what did you take away from those two games?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was just so proud of them and so happy for them. And yeah, it just felt really special to be a part of something like this. Was the first win or conference title for our program, and it feels really special to be a part of something like this because I think like 3 4 years ago, we were a Division 3 program, and I think our coach Stockdale has done such a great job with us and in developing our program and getting us to where we are today. And I feel really lucky to be a part of it too. And I can't wait to look back someday and like look at the banner, whatever we get out of this, and just say like I did that, like I started that program or something like that. I think it's just something that's really cool to be a part of.
Now, what's the trophy like? Is it heavy? Like I'm just curious, like from your perspective, like how big is the trophy, and like what was it like holding it, I guess, for the first time? Especially with the
Uh,
injured knee, I feel like it's probably a little heavier than for other people who like
yeah.
maybe just won it.
Um, I mean, it's not too heavy. It's definitely probably not as heavy as like the national championship trophy, but yeah, it's just like this little cup, and I'm not sure where it is right now actually, but we got to have it for like the day after. Our coach let us have it, and we all got to like drink out of it and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Any cool photos with the championship trophy? I feel like you have to have a few. I didn't see that
Yeah,
you posted anything on the gram for it. I feel like you have to. You win a championship. That's like the best photo you can post.
I know. I might have to reconsider that. I do have a couple good ones. We have a lake on our campus, and so we all went the next day and we went and stood out on the lake when it was frozen, and we kind of like just have a picture with it. It's pretty cool, but that's my favorite one.
Yeah. Do you get to keep the trophy for the like forever, or do you have to give it back to the league at some point?
I think we get to keep it. It says Franklin Pierce on it, so I'm thinking we get to keep it.
That's awesome. Well, definitely a good spot. I can't wait to see where your team puts it. And it's a good trophy to kind of start off your program at the D1 level. So hopefully a few more to come. But getting back to yourself individually, obviously, even though you didn't play the whole year, I felt like you had a fantastic year. So comparing it to your senior year of high school, what was like the biggest improvement you made to your game from your perspective?
Ooh, that's definitely hard. I would just say I did a really like I feel like I talk about systems a lot, but I feel like I did a really good job of like filling a role that I necessarily like didn't expect to fill. I thought I was not going to get a center spot, and I ended up being a center. And I think I just did a really good job of, continuing on with what I learned and playing my position pretty well. And I felt like I was just a solid player that my coach could rely on and put me out in any situation.
Now, what will you take away from this past season that is going to help you and your teammates for next year?
Yeah, I think after seeing everyone in our conference now, after this year, since I didn't get a freshman year, I think I'll be a lot more prepared, and I'll know what to expect a little bit more as to how each team is going to play, and what their strategies might be. Um, and I think my team is really excited for this next season because we know what's on the line. We obviously get an automatic bid now,
Oh,
so that,
really?
yeah, I think that's what we heard. I think they said it at the selection show, but I mean, it could be a possibility. It could not be. But I mean, it definitely could be a possibility. So I think we know that, and we know that that championship title means a lot more than it did this year.
Yeah, and do you think there's going to be any pressure from being defending champs? Like, obviously, there's going to be a target on your team's back. So, like, how are you going to handle that? And is it going to be different from the pressure you handled this past year with winning all those games towards the later half of the regular season?
Yeah, I think we'll probably have a little bit of pressure to do well this season, just like last. But I think, like I said, like we did come to a realization that we're not going to win every game. We're going to have bad games, and it's how we get through those bad games that's going to make us even stronger. So.
So, we're now in a segment I like to call the non hockey segment, where I ask you some non hockey questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the ice. So, first one is, what is your most embarrassing hockey moment?
Oh, I have one that I'll just never forget. So when I was little, I played with boys. I was really little. I had to be like under 10 at this point. And my dad signed me up for like this clinic. And I showed up, and one part of the clinic was you got to like see how fast your slap shot was. And I didn't even know how to take a slap shot. And I was with like all these like boys, and they got up there and like were taking like these amazing slap shots. And then I got up there and I like totally whiffed, and like it was so slow that the radar like didn't even pick up how fast the shot was. But I just remember like wanting to like cry and like leave. But that's probably the worst I have.
Hey, I think you're proving all those guys wrong though, because you're playing D1 and I don't know any of them. So I guess like you got the last laugh if you think about it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe like probably when people chew really loud when they eat. But like I think it's because like when I was little, my mom used to like yell at my brother and I for like chewing all the time. And so I think she just kind of like passed it on to me. That now it's like I'm like super sensitive to it. But that's
Yeah.
probably like the biggest one.
What is the most overrated holiday and what is the most underrated holiday? And if you need me to give you my answers for you to think about it, feel free.
Yeah, what are your
Uh,
answers?
so for mine, the most underrated holiday I think is the 4th of July, just because I like the barbecues. I think the fireworks are really cool and it has like a nice summertime vibe to it. And plus, it's
Mhm,
nice because the sun's usually out until like 8 o'clock, where like in most
mhm.
holidays the sun sets like at 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I really enjoy the Fourth of July, just the festivities and just like kind of the feeling about it. And I think not many people like consider it a good holiday, but I think it's a really cool holiday. So I really enjoyed that one. And then the most overrated one is Halloween. At least for me, I'm not a big person that likes to dress up. And I feel like if you're not a kid anymore, there's really not much you can do with Halloween, but there's always people trying to shove it down your throat like it's a great holiday. And personally, I just don't think it's that special. So that's my overrated one.
Okay. Okay. My underrated one, I would have to say Christmas. Like I just love Christmas. Like me and my roommate Suzette, she's our goalie, and we like decorated our room like with so much Christmas stuff. Like we got our own stockings, like we put stickers on the windows, and we still have it up because we refuse to take it down. So we'll probably be up for the rest of the year. But
Are people like getting upset over that? Because I know people don't like it when you keep Christmas stuff up for longer than it has to be.
I mean, we're the only ones that see it, so hopefully no one's too bothered by it. But yeah, we just like refuse to take it down because we don't want to. We just love it so much. Um, but I would say overrated just thinking about last Friday. Is April Fool's a holiday? I don't even know if it is,
I
but
guess I guess we'll count it for this one.
we can
So
count it. I'm just so gullible. Like I just fell for like everything that I heard or saw. So I guess I just like didn't. I don't like April Fool's Day.
yeah, I just think it's like, what's the point of it? Like, I don't know. I think it's a bit overrated too, but I like to
Yeah,
consider myself a comedian, but like I would not do something on April Fool's Day because people are expecting it. You need to do it
yeah,
on like a day where like no one expects it. I think that's more, at least for me, more funnier.
yeah. I mean, I fell for everything. So I mean, I was on the other end of the joke, but
You got to pull one off next year. I don't know if you need
no.
ideas.
Next year,
Just
I
hit
got to
me
get
up.
everyone.
I can help you out with that.
Thank you.
Now, if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself and why?
Oh, geez, that's okay. This one might not make a lot of sense because she's a little bit older than me, but I just love Drew Barrymore. My mom and I just love her. I love her and like Never Been Kissed and 50 First Dates. So she's probably like my favorite actress, but I don't know if she'd play me very well, but that's all I can think of.
Every time I think of Drew Barrymore, I always think of Adam Sandler. So I feel like
Yep.
he would be in the movie at
Yes.
some point. So I feel like that would be a good movie to watch.
Yes. I love them
Now,
together.
who is the funniest teammate you have at Franklin Pierce?
Oh geez, we have a lot of comedians on the team. I'm gonna have to say Lucy Hanson. Lucy Hanson always has me cracking up. I don't know. She'll just say like the most. I don't. She's kind of like a random funny person where it's like, what did you just say? I don't know. I can't even think of any examples, but she just has me laughing like no matter what.
Did you pull any April Fool's jokes on you?
She didn't personally, but Steph Caban sent us a group in our or a text in our group chat that said like our lift is canceled, like no workout today. And I believed it for some reason, but everyone else, like no one else fell for it. So,
So you didn't show up to lift, like you're the only teammate
well,
that didn't?
I figured it out, but like by the time we had to get there, so I had enough time. But
That's good at least.
yes,
Yeah, so I feel like if you're the coach, you gotta like say something in the group chat. I don't know if he's in there or not, but like you gotta be like, don't fall for some of these jokes that will pop up.
no, he wasn't in that one, but it was just like our team ones. So I was stupid enough to believe it for like a split second.
Now, who has the best style on the team? If I'd answer that question, I'll definitely say yourself. I think you have some great style, but besides yourself, who has some great outfits on the team, or who just rocks the Franklin Pierce sweater the best?
I would definitely say Kat Deja. Kat Deja always comes to the rink on game day with the best game day outfits. Yeah, she just has like the best style. I don't know how to explain it. She always has like cute hats and boots and skirts. So definitely Kat.
Now, what is the most interesting thing you've seen or read this week?
Oh, probably like back to the April Fool's Day thing. Like I saw like this. So I don't know if you know this, but the Mall of America has this like amusement park and it's called Nickelodeon Universe. And
I
it
don't
used
know
to be
that at
called,
all. Sorry.
you don't know that? Okay, so
No.
well, it has this amusement park called Nickelodeon Universe, and like it used to be called Planet Snoopy. And in the movie The Mighty Ducks, it's like my favorite movie ever. They like have this scene where they're like rollerblading through like Planet Snoopy, and then there was like this post on Instagram and it said Mall of America is gonna switch back to like Planet Snoopy. So like I was like texting this to like all my friends, like oh my gosh, and then I realized it was like not real. So that was something I saw this week.
Yeah, I think for myself, I don't know. That's tough. Probably this is probably such a basic answer now, and by the time this
Mhm.
gets aired, it will be talked about millions of times. But just the slap at the Oscars, I thought that was
Yeah,
pretty interesting, and just the whole
that
follow
too.
from that.
That too. That was pretty crazy. I like didn't know if I like believed that even when I first saw it or heard about it. It was crazy.
Are you Team Will Smith or Team Chris Rock? I'm Team Chris Rock. I feel like you. I don't. I know like. I know there's like lines with like jokes, but I feel like you shouldn't ever go up to someone and just like slap them. I think
Yeah.
that's
I
super
feel like
immature.
I'm with you. I feel like I'm with Chris Rock. I don't know because I feel like there was like a lot of jokes being said that night. Like I feel like I don't know if he deserved to be like slapped in the face, maybe like a talk to after the show or something. But
Yeah. I don't know. If I were his wife, like I wouldn't want that to happen too, because now everyone's going to talk about it, and
yeah,
meetings are going to make jokes about it, which is exactly
yeah,
what he's
yes,
made
that's
it
exactly what
actually make worse.
happened.
So I don't know. Like he's trying to defend his wife, but he really made it worse because now everyone's talking about it and making fun of her more. So I feel like as a
Yeah.
husband, like he didn't do his job at all in that moment. So, but that's just my perspective. I don't know. I'm some college student that doesn't really know too much. So what do I know, right? Now, getting back to some hockey questions. Now, first one is, what should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think that like girls hockey really has to, well, hockey in general really has to start at such a young age. Like you can't just throw skates on when you're, in high school and think you're gonna, continue on to the next level. Hockey is just so different where you really have to play for a really long time. And so I think getting girls to play at a really young age and having them stick with it is something that's really important. So I think as like a college hockey player, I would love to like go back to my community or even in Webster or in Egan and encourage young girls to start playing and give them someone to look up to and encourage them to stick with it too, because I think that's something that could really help us help grow grow our programs.
Yeah, and what advice would you give like younger players who are trying to pursue a career in college hockey?
I would definitely say, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and you never know who could be watching. So whenever you step on the ice, you never know, who could be in the stands watching you. You never know where that could lead. Um, I would also say, like, don't be afraid. Like I said, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to send an email, make a call. Like, who cares if they don't call you back or email you back? At least you tried. And, you never know what could come of anything. So up and I kind of was close to giving up and thinking I don't really have any more options, and I ended up getting to come here and play hockey, which was my dream. So
Now, last hockey question, but should body checking be allowed in women's hockey?
okay, this is something I get asked all the time, and I have like an answer that people don't really like, but I don't personally want hockey, like checking in hockey, just because I've gone through my whole entire career like not playing with checking, so I feel like it would be a little bit abrupt for me, but I wouldn't be opposed to them implementing it at a younger age, starting with a certain age level and then growing it up, because I do think that it is a really physical game. So I think it's not that we couldn't handle it, it's just that I've gone a really long time not having to play with that aspect of it. So I think I wouldn't like to just all of a sudden jump into checking is now allowed. But yeah, I think it would be something that could be seen at the younger levels.
Yeah, I feel like if you implement it, it'll definitely. I think you have to learn how to check someone and have to learn how to take a check. So, if you learn
Yeah.
how to do that at a young age, I think it prevents injuries, and then they can like learn how to implement in the game, and kind of. I think it would help, I guess, make the game add another aspect to the game that will be fun to watch for fans. So that's kind of why I think it should be allowed.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think it could be something that could eventually be implemented.
What like have you ever given anyone a big check before? I'm curious. I feel like if you
Oh,
played hockey
probably
for so
not.
long, you've probably accidentally like bodied someone by mistake.
I don't remember the last time I got a checking penalty or anything. I probably like in high school was probably like the last time. I don't remember though, but I don't not anything like specifically that I remember.
Then any big checks that has happened in college, like with your teammates, or nothing at
Oh
all?
yeah. Oh yeah, we get hit a lot. We hit other like other teams a lot. Like we actually have this video every week, and our assistant or our GA puts together like this video clip of like us getting hit or us tripping or us falling, and it happens a lot more than what people think.
Are you guys giving out any hits, or are you guys only just taking hits?
Oh, we definitely give out some hits for sure,
That's good. I
for
feel
sure.
like you have to balance it out a little bit. So I
Yes,
feel like if you're the
yes,
GA, you gotta add some of those as well, just to kind of motivate
yeah.
them a little bit.
Yeah, I'll let her know. I'll tell her to add some of those in there next year.
Now, do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your teammates, family members, or friends before this interview ends?
Yeah, obviously my mom and my dad, and then obviously my brother Andrew. I miss them a lot, and they helped me through a lot throughout my whole life, and even right now, what I'm going through. I just want to thank them a lot, and then obviously like my coaching staff, and my teammates have also been so supportive, and my trainer Ben. They've all been helping me get through this really really tough time.
Well, thank you so much, Jenna, for coming on. I really appreciate your time. It means so much to myself, and I wish you nothing but the best for your off season and for next season as well. Hopefully, your team comes out in Massachusetts again, so I can see your team play in person. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But wish you nothing but the best though with your injury recovery as well, and I hope you get back on the ice soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.